but it's the one on the top right, which is an example of a kid who's really having a hard time with drawing, but who's engaged in the project as best she can. You know, she's filling space, her drawings are real schematic, like goofy little doodly things, and her her double-decker bus has some real drawing issues, you know.
You can tell that she's putting the time.
Right,
Yeah, she's doing all the things.
Right, exactly. And she, just like you were saying, in her reflection was like, I don't think the bus looks right. And I was like, right. But I just,
But the fact that she can identify that it doesn't look right is an important factor.
And that's, I love being able to tell a kid like, yep, your drawing skills are emerging right now, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve an A on this project.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
Yeah, I kinda like it.
yeah, right, I mean, like, it's still better. Yeah.
Make it your style.
It's
And
so charming.
I've been stealing your idea of getting like the peers to critique each other like throughout.
Mhm.
That's, yeah.
I did not really anticipate how much harder they would work to prepare for a peer critique
Right.
than for turning stuff into me.
That's what they're
Like,
doing
there's,
right now.
yeah.
My kids right now are involved in a peer critique right now in front of a substitute.
Oh, like,
Wow,
like,
like right now.
So are they, is it one-to-one, or are they, is it like a class grade thing where they're going around?
Yeah, so I have the two AP kids leading it, and there's
Nice.
something we're working on. And then there's scripted questions, so we've already gone through it. But the only thing I would want to add is that it's the intent, so to drive the curiosity. And
Yeah.
that's what I've been keying off on this semester.
which we talked about also, that curiosity piece. And I was telling Kevin, that kid, and I was like, Kevin, I love that you were, you said like you were trying this stuff on your own, and you were curious enough about it to like to try and problem solve it on your own. But I don't know what, and I don't know. And I'm glad that he identified all the stuff that he had. But like you said, like, I don't know how to keep him hooked. Like he's enjoying it, but I don't know how to keep him hooked. But also help him to be successful before he goes.
Is there a chance to make that project again?
Yes, and I told him, I said, you can still resubmit this. I said, if we spend half an hour cleaning this up, it would be a different piece. We could make it look so much better. And he was like on board with that, but yeah, but it's still like I have to do it now.
How often would you say you have kids who actually take you up on that? Because I also offer that to all of my classes, and AP is like the only class that I consistently have kids take advantage of reworking their pieces. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the lower the level, the fewer kids are like,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
I always
that-
have her too, and I
yeah.
don't have very
Yeah.
many.
I would say there's like a handful every semester, but it's not very many.
Yeah, I wonder about like the return on investment, so to speak, of their effort. Like, it's, and it's not never in drawing one, but I feel like it's the kids who are like, oh, I could do like 30 minutes of work and get like a lot more points. Like, you know, the kids who are like mostly ones down the board, like low engagement, low effort, low drawing skill, you know, bare bones kind of composition with lots of gaps that are like, well, I see how this works, you know, but I feel like the more work they have to do and or the less they're gonna get from it, like less frequently I find that kids bother that. Yeah, it's like they don't have the intrinsic desire to make their keychain less. Yes, it's like, what's the nicer word I can insert right now? Yeah, less rough.
Poor Kevin. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, technology-wise, for you two in particular, probably have more opportunity.
Yeah, Todd, do you have kids rework all the time?
I do offer rework.
But the problem is that once they go out and take the photo, right, then to rework it, it's a homework assignment. It's not like they can do it right there.
The reshoot would be, but like,
Right.
what about kids who you're like, wow, this composition is garbage, and they're like crop and or Photoshop their way to a stronger photo. Do you find that happens a lot because it's easier, or it's still not?
Goes back to what you and I said way at the beginning of this conversation, is that the AP kids and the commercial photography kids are rocking. It's
Yeah.
my photo one this particular year, and I've seen this huge, do I have to do this kind of real negativity? Really, it's due when? I mean, when just all of this slush, and I'm sick and tired as a person and as a teacher of blaming it on COVID. But I will say that the freshmen, this particular year, and sophomores are just like, really?
I was gonna
I
say
have to
flip flops, but those are-
really do this? It's been a real challenge. And so the rework isn't seemingly going well. It's really far.
It didn't
On,
occur to me.
on this project, you can see there's 4 images, and so the kids were allowed to go out and shoot what they saw. And this is what the kids saw.
My house.
Wood grain? Yeah, yeah. So you got a brick wall and wood floors and pots and pans and a room or a door, right?
That's code for like, oh, this is due tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
So that was the only requirement, is just take a picture of what they saw.
Yeah.
There's nothing about texture or depth or anything.
But a piece of this, no, so that's kind of, a piece of it was, I want you to pre-plan what you think you're gonna see. I need you to pre-plan your thoughts, so you're not just out going around endlessly. No, it was a blank piece of paper. They didn't pre-plan it, so we did this the night before. As you got. Now, the next time, so this person got a C minus. The same person on the next project
This is
filled
the
out,
same
the
student,
same
right?
person filled out the project sheet talking about the pre-planning with the same ideas as what they could be doing. One, get out of the house. Number two, start seeing things from symmetry, and that's what this project was.
Hmm.
And they did a much better job, right?
Did they
So
pre-plan
what
in
was,
class?
what was on the pre-plan?
Oh, so this time on the pre-planning sheet, it says, yeah, I'm going to get out of my house, I'm going to work with my parents and going up to Evergreen.
Mhm.
And so they had put some ideas in there, and it came to fruition. So I was trying to build the intent through curiosity and saying, instead of just going through the motions of just getting it done, just get it done. So, how would we do it more deliberately?
I think we have to do that. Like I was telling, I think Shiloh at our Tuesday meeting that like I had to change the language from like make 10 like mini contour drawings to go draw inline contour for 20 minutes. Like I don't care if you make 20 really terrible drawings or one really intense drawing, but you're gonna draw that full time. Because I do think there is a lingering mentality from being in like remote learning that you do it as fast as you can and with as little effort as you can, and then you can get on your phone.
So the next thing is that people were coming back and saying, so how many images did you shoot? Well, I had my 4 images. You only needed 4.
Right.
This, you only shot 4 images? Well, I deleted the other ones. I asked you not to delete them, they were part of the project. I wanted to see them, to see what was wrong. Well, they sucked. Well, let me help you.
We want to look at those.
I want to
too.
see
Right,
them.
that's how you
That
learn.
helps you.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just interesting.
Well, and again, I would almost say it's like a kid trying to problem solve on their own, and like, oh, I tried to get rid of all the bad things.
Right.
It wasn't a bad thing.
I
You were
can
able to-
show my failures.
Right, like, yeah, that, like, especially not, yeah.
So on this next slide, can I just show you real quick, Seth? I didn't show you guys. Oh, sorry. And this is what I hit them up with now. So creativity, intent, composition, and impact. And then we broke this down as a team. We wrote it down individually, then we wrote it down collectively, and then we did it, everybody did it together. And we really explored this hard. And this is what I was driving with the pre-planning part. So trying to find what does it take to build an effective image? Well, yeah, there are those moments. I remember on Saga or some of you guys saw the jet
Yeah.
F-18. I mean, that was like a once in a lifetime image. You couldn't pre-plan it. It's a once in a lifetime shot, and you got this incredible shot. But most of the time, you need to get out and do a little bit of pre-planning and thinking and semblance of materials and shapes and contours, etc. But so
With
I-
room to improvise for something like that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I hit this up. This is new, and I've been doing it this semester, and so far it's working for me. But and you could blow this apart because composition is again a part. Stylization is part of the techniques, and there's comes, you'll be.
But I think intent and impact are really nice, like framing for, like, because artist voice and intent is in all of our standards. But I've never really separated them out quite like that. Like, not only what are you trying to say, but how are you, like, how is your audience receiving it? That's nice.
Like, so then I went with the Google colors.
It's also really, really
That
good.
part offends my
There's reasons
sensibilities.
why, yeah, right,
Really
color,
good
right,
acronym.
there's reason for that.
Yeah.
People like that, and there's a lot of reasons.
I think the intent part that you talked about is like, it's something that I'm really paying attention to right now with my kids, like the kids that are not doing as well are the ones that like, it's almost like in kindergarten when you like grab the green marker, you're like, wow, right? It's like discovery, it's just you're just kind of going where it takes you. And like we, you know, obviously some of us have literally like the last time they've taken art is like in kindergarten. So it's like a lot of times with these kids, especially in the year, and I feel like where they're still in that mode where they're just like,
Like tactile.
whoa, right?
Yeah.
It's like still like just like a surprise every time, and then like just trying to get to that next level of like, okay, I'm actually gonna like make these decisions to try to create this specific thing, right? There's like more,
And even if it
like
doesn't
more engagement and
end
more,
up there,
yeah.
like that's still okay, but having a goal is a lot different than a kid who's like just reacting to what's in front of them.
Right.
I saw something interesting, I've ninth grade PLCs, which is real challenging.
Advisory.
Say it again?
Is that
Advisory.
That's
The same line of stuff, right? It's like the girl on the right like really spent time like planning and thinking about the whole 360 degrees and like okay, if I have this design, I want one on each side, and just kind of really like thinking about how she was gonna lay out her design.
Versus the kid.
Right, versus the kid that was like, oh crap, I'm out of range. I better get tighter here. Right, I mean, he started pretty well. Like he was like, okay, I'm gonna make some bands that the design will go into, but you know, and I have slightly better examples that just came out today. But just the idea of like just really thinking about things before they touch the material.
And I think letting them know, or like building in opportunities in our classes where the goal is not to actually make a thing, like I'm finding that is more helpful, because like if they know it's like, and I don't want to use the word practice because I don't always take it seriously, you know what I mean, but it's like if it's a purposeful experiment, then that's what I'm trying, because I, you know, practice, then they never take it seriously. But if it's like, all right, test drive, or like you could use a sexier art word like maquette or something to like try to make it sound legit, I suppose. But the point is that it's unrealistic to expect that the first time kids are laying hands on a material or like drawing it. Yeah, but they think they should. Yeah.
Well, they're worried that they're like, well, what's the, if
Right.
we experiment and what's the grade?
Right.
How do I
Right.
get graded?
If I fail, I kind of want to be like, failure gets an A.
Yeah.
Like if you
You have to
blow
fail 5
up
times and
this
do that, right?
this experiment, like push it to the limits where you ruin it, then that's an A. But if you're like I can't possibly make a mistake or I might explode, like, you know, like that's so challenging to get to like undo that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So we just, I agree with you. I think we just need to find more ways of like doing like a 20-minute time limit and then you
Right.
get your points, or doing something where they have more time to like explore.
Or like, tell me what went wrong. Like, tell me what went wrong and how you're gonna do it differently. And like, if you do that, there's your points, you know, if that's what you're so worried about, you know, because then they learn it. Like, it's like you have to trick them into learning it. Like, earn the points by doing the experiment, and then, oh, whoops, I learned how to not do this so bad the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kevin, like my kid that blew up his first
Kevin's
piece.
like a celebrity now.
I know. I feel like he like blew up his first piece, but he learned everything from it. And then his second piece was nothing like that.
Right.
And it was so much cleaner because he understood all
Right.
stuff.
Right. So how do you show that in grades, right? That kid learned the thing.
Right. Well,
Right,
he-
because his first grade was like,
Well, he learned, like he made 3 rings. And then he like showed them to me. He's like super proud of it. I was like, Kevin's like a different person. Like, who are you? But then he's like, well, I have an idea for another one. And I was like, do it. Like that, again, like, it took him that whole time to practice making that third, like all 3 of those, and then he was ready to go. You have an idea? And I was like, I don't care what Wynn's done. Like, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, takes as long as you need, make it.
Thank you, guys.